Now, Wellness Wednesday on Fox 54 News, sponsored by WeGenesis.
Well, first of all, May is Mental Health Awareness Month. So not only are we trying to raise awareness about the importance of mental health, but we also found it to be important to Huntsville as a community. There's a lot of organizations here in town that can provide resources and help that a lot of people aren't aware even here. And as we stated, by being a community event, we want to get the community involved. So we reached out to the city of Huntsville to help with that effort. So it's kind of a play on the, you say, traditional fair, where a lot of people get maybe blood pressure. We will have blood pressure screenings and things of that nature, but it's typically driven toward your physical health. So what we wanted to do is make this about mental health. And also we know that activities such as exercise, regular exercise, running, any kind of movement is also going to help with depression or stress relief. So we took on the 5K element to provide the physical aspect. And then of course the other part of the fair is the mental health portion. So of course we're taking care of the mind and the body. Our fraternity as a whole has a program called Brother, You're on My Mind, and it is a national program dedicated to raising awareness about stress and depression, in particular Black men, but we also know that everyone suffers from that. So we took on that element and tried to grow it and make it larger and involve everyone. And so that was the main focus for us as far as focusing on mental health. Two things. Number one, mental health awareness is very important. And we understand that mental health runs on a continuum. It runs from a crisis situation all the way to just your everyday well-being. So what we hope is no matter where you are on that spectrum, that you're able to find an organization that can provide assistance, or you can find a sense of community by being out there with everyone. And the other thing is mainly just helping people know that there's help, that there's things. That's usually what it is. A lot of people, like, I know something is off, but I don't know what it is, and I don't know how to identify, and I don't know what resources are available. And it may not be anything that's crisis related. It may just be, like I said, just not feeling your best on a daily basis. 1 or 2 times, not a big deal, but on a regular basis of not feeling quite like yourself, it would be good to maybe talk to someone. And that's what we're trying to do, is remove that stigma that is attached to mental health. It's not a bad thing to ask, hey, I need help.
Well, they're very helpful because what it's doing is reducing and breaking the stigma associated with mental health. There's so many concerns about going to a mental health professional, confidentiality, will it take my insurance, prices, what does this look like, how does this label me, and being able to be educated about the mental health process and what it is and how beneficial it can be long term it's just amazing for the community. So being able to have different events like this and different organizations shine a light on mental health in different communities is beneficial overall. It'll really just help the world because we need to be able to address what's bothering us internally. Well, first we want to make sure that we set the confidentiality, and let them know that everything they say is confidential in this process. So that kind of helps reduce some of the anxiety or worry because we're coming in very vulnerable. And then once we are able to establish the confidentiality, that's when we start to say to ourselves, okay, what are some of the issues that we want to address? And then we start to identify different methodologies and skills and techniques that could be helpful for what's been identified as some key factors that they want to address or at least heal from or even change. Well, we have life transitions. Everyone's in a space where they're trying to establish their goals. What are the new things that they need to work on? And just dealing with the environment and the climate of the world right now, on top of some anxiety with work stability and finances and budget. And then some people are going through different phases in their life where they're transitioning from college into adulthood or from adulthood into caregiver or even assisting their parents. And then we have a lot of people who are experiencing nesting egg, what is the word I'm looking for? Empty nest syndrome. So there's so many different phases in life that everyone's in. And then we also have this wonderful way of doing self-awareness. And then sometimes we find ourselves being insecure, especially when we compare. So there's an array of different things right now that people are experiencing. And it's so important that we acknowledge what each person is experiencing and identify ways to overcome that, and then address it in a positive manner so that they can be the best version of themselves. Well, when we think about stagnation, a lot of times we feel stuck, basically. And I feel like I'm not able to move in either direction. I don't know what I'm doing. I find myself in places of uncertainty. I'm not making decisions. I'm not able to identify what I want or what I need. I'm just here. And that could be a lot of numbness in our emotion, or even feeling as though we're on autopilot and we're just checking off our boxes. And so we need to start being able to identify our goals, identify our emotions, and then making sure that our mindset is in the best place possible. Because when our mindset is not where we want it to be or need it to be, it can cause us to respond physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Well, the first step is self-awareness. You need to be able to identify areas of your life that you want to change or enhance. And if you can call it out yourselves, not others, that is the first step. Is being able to say, okay, this is something about myself that I feel like is not as beneficial for me long term. Once you're able to identify that, then we can start breaking down ways to address it, i.e. journaling, or coming up with a routine, or coming up with some type of structure. It could even just be the simple fact that I need to be consistent. What does consistency look like in my life? Is this towards my goals? Is this towards my work routine? And then we also need to identify our wants and needs. A lot of times we find ourselves not prioritizing what we want and what we need because there's so many other daily tasks that we must accomplish. So it's so important to identify our true wants and needs. Now, if we've taken the time to say, okay, this is what's going on, this is how I want to change it, this is what I want and need, and I've implemented some things and I still find myself in a place of stagnation, then we might want to look into therapy or even life coaching.